going to post this video comment also to this same maker that also made the other two videos. The one, every 10 questions that every intelligent Christian must answer, which I'm still working on, by the way. I'll continue to answer all 10 of those. I will get them out. But how do we know that Christians are delusional? And then he gives in the video an explanation of the delusions of Mormonism, which absolutely has no archaeological or scientific evidence whatsoever, as well as the delusions of the Muslims and whatnot, which again really has no evidence to its validity in terms of archaeology or scientific information regarding any other area of science as well. To say that a Christian is delusional because we choose to be a Christian because that's not logical, rational thinking, and yet at the same time this person taking a stance, he still has to answer the question, where do we really come from then? We didn't just form ourselves. And to believe that we just came from a big bang, I know a lot of people want to say that evolution is a fact, but evolution is not a fact. It is a theory. And being a theory, right here, I had people say, actually badmouth me and say, well, you know, that seems pretty redundant to say that it's a theory, you know, and when in reality, we educated ones know what a theory really means. Well, let me tell you what the dictionary says a theory really means. It doesn't mean fact. This is what it says. Theory, an explanation. Explanation based on thought. Explanation based on observation and reasoning. There was several theories about the way in which the fire started. So they're giving you an example of how the word's used. According to the theory of evolution, the more complicated forms of life developed from the simple ones, but even the simple ones aren't really simple. There's no such thing as a truly simple cell. You might want to call it simple, but when you get into the mechanics of a cell and you get into the literally thousands of biochemical transfers and whatnot that go on, that even trained scientists find extremely perplexing, it hits home that there really is no such thing as a simple cell. But anyway. And then it goes on to say the principles or methods of a science or art rather than its practice. The theory of music, for example. And then 3, idea or opinion about something. So basically, 3 is actually the most concise explanation of what a theory is. It is an opinion. It is an idea about something. And then we go into theoretical, which is obviously built from the word theory. Theoretical, this is what it says, limited to theory, planned or worked out in the mind, not from experience, based on theory, not on fact. Based on theory, not on fact. So evolution theory is not a fact. For all you educated ones out there. Now I know most of you actually probably have a very good intellect, and I'm not downgrading that by any means. I do think as far as people not accepting Christianity, as far as people not accepting the message of the cross and of the existence of God, that isn't because we're delusional and you're not. In fact, to believe that all of this came from a big explosion in outer space, everything we see around us, where's the genuine evidence? I mean, were you there when this happened? Were you actually there to see it, to witness it yourself? Do you have actual evidence of it? And I'll say, well, yeah, well, we can see that the universe is expanding from a single point and moving outward. Well, that doesn't necessarily prove a giant explosion in outer space. Besides the fact, if you had an explosion in outer space, what caused the explosion? I mean, explosions happen for a reason. There has to be something to explode. So where did that come from? In addition to that, if this explosion created space and everything in it, what did it explode into? So before space was there, if it, boom, and there it is, and it creates space, what did it explode into? And what is the universe, for that matter, expanding into? So Those are very perplexing questions, and possibly at this point in our understanding not really totally answerable from the standpoint of science. I do believe that because God exists, I am firmly convinced that he can be proven as well. But we have to know what we're looking at, and we have to be able to come up with other methods of testing. However, ultimately, you're not going to be able to come to God, even if you proved there was a God. Even if people proved there was a God, beyond any shadow of a doubt, then they would still, if they're approaching him with their intellect, miss out on God, because God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So you got to come from your heart. Now, as far as the Bible being delusional, first off, anytime the Bible has ever mentioned any fact about science, it has never been shown to be wrong. And I will, when I'm answering other things for 10 questions that every intelligent Christian must answer, I will be doing a video specifically on some of the scientific knowledge of the Bible and how it lines up with what we know to be perfect today, even though it was well in advance of any discoveries in science. And you won't be able to refute it because it's proven science, and yet you won't also be able to dispute and say, well, that was written in after the fact, because we know that the documents and the Bible are way older than these discoveries, and yet they're there. Okay, so I will bring out the scientific information. Obviously you can't cover it all because there's a lot, but I'll cover some really significant ones that are in the Bible, just to give you a little taste of the truly scientific and accurate information the Bible contains. So, and when I do, you'll discover that the Bible is not only both scientific and medical, but the information is accurate. That is impossible to explain unless it was divinely inspired by God. And so look for that video. I haven't made it yet, but I will. So the Christian Bible is based upon actual archaeological evidence. It is also based upon, it also has scientific ideas in it that are way in advance of the actual discoveries in science that validate its accuracy. And I'll have to bring that out in another video clip because we don't have time here. But you'll see what I mean when I bring it out, and I'll spell it out for you if you don't understand it. I'll line it up with some known scientific facts. But obviously, with a 10-minute clip, you're not going to be able to even begin to scratch the surface. Then hopefully it will inspire you to search for more. So the bottom line is that unlike Muslims and unlike the Mormons and whatnot, that have really no scientific foundation whatsoever backing it up, just a story, then therefore a delusion, the Bible is different. It actually has archaeological information that has been shown to be accurate. It also has scientific ideas in it that have been shown to be accurate and predicted well in advance of the modern discoveries of such things. So we'll get into all of that. But ultimately, you will not be able to understand God with your intellect. Even if you proved God, and if you still approached God after you proved that there was a God, if you could prove it beyond any shadow of a doubt, you would still argue about the nature of that God if you're approaching him with the intellect. The only way you can really know God is through the heart, because God is a spirit. They that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. And therefore, your heart is your spirit, and only a spirit can understand a spirit. So intellectualizing everything might help to settle some questions for you on an intellectual level, but ultimately it has to go down into the heart of a man or a woman. So the intellect is fine, but it's not going to save you, and ultimately it's not going to even convert you. The only thing that's really going to convert you is when you have a personal experience with the living and risen Christ. And that has to be a heart thing, experienced in the heart. So I will be posting some very interesting information about the Bible, and you will find, as I do, because I haven't got to that point yet, but when I do, you'll find that it truly is amazing.